Halicue. And you are listening to the Hey, it's Halicue podcast, the very first podcast for Black women of the 92%, created by a Black woman of the 92%. I am so happy to be back. And just as we get started, thank you for making our last episode, The Authenticity Assignment, the most downloaded episode of the podcast yet. It's only episode 8, but y'all pushed it to over 1,000 downloads. I am so proud. I am so grateful. Thank you all so much. Thank you to our paid subscribers that put their money where their mouth is. And thank y'all for rocking with me and still hanging out with me and engaging and interacting while I was traveling. I have been a Black girl abroad. I have been gallivanting all over Europe. Y'all know I was in Germany, sailing along the Rhine for days with my mom, Amsterdam, Germany, then France, and back home to the Bay Area for 4 days before getting back on a plane, heading back to London for a little bit over a week to hang out with my older daughter, the lanky Libra, with my own little family, my husband, and the little scary Scorpio. We were in London. That's where the youngest was born. So it was wonderful to be back in London, seeing it in a way I'd never seen it before. We stayed in 2 different neighborhoods this last time. We stayed in Marylebone. That was absolutely wonderful. Then we headed off to Portugal for another week. We were in Lisbon for almost a week, and then we were off to Porto for 2 days. I absolutely love Porto. And y'all, it's Black people in Portugal. I just want to say, for anybody considering pulling up roots and being a calm, restful Black woman living in another country in peace and quiet and some sanity, Portugal might be a place to go. Y'all, I even met the mayor of Lisbon. Now there, they would refer to him more as like the president of the city. I think he's a lovely man. I think he's going to be the next president or the next prime minister of Portugal. But it was just a wonderful trip. It was so good for me to get away. But y'all, we're talking about riding the storm this week, because while I was gone, so many crazy things happened in this country, right? Like we had this administration sending that crazy letter to Harvard telling them to basically bend the knee and kiss the ring. Harvard then told them to go straight to hell. We had the first, play pretend implementation of these so-called tariffs. Y'all, that's when I started. I've been pretty calm and pretty collected since the election and the rollout and the aftermath. No matter how crazy it's been, we have been together as a collective, as a community, as Black women, and I get so much strength from that. I take so much peace and calm from the fact that we are a collective, we are in community with each other, we are focusing on our joy, we are focusing on our art, we are helping each other take care of each other, we're laughing along the way. But y'all, like so much stuff broke, especially over the tariffs, and then look on the stock market, and I know a lot of us have investments, we have savings, we have college funds for the kids, we have retirement, and this man is messing with the money. A storm really is coming. For those of us that are Game of Thrones fans, yeah, a storm's coming. Winter is coming. But you know who the original storm riders are? Black women. Someone that's quickly going to become one of my favorite followers and community members over on TikTok. She had this great comment. I was speaking to Black women and how we're ready to ride out the storm. A lot of us are already trying to find the quiet center of the storm. I'm from Mississippi. Hurricanes are part of life. Hurricanes and tornadic activity. A lot of us as Black women are already making our way to the eye of the storm where there is some peace. And so I made a post about it. But one Black woman said the reason that this is true and this was accurate, her name is Nicole. Nicole said, you remember how your grandmama, your grandfather used to tell you during a rainstorm to sit down someplace and be still? My grandmother was like this. You say, sit down, be still. The Lord is at work. Now I'm deconstructing from the church. But y'all, that made so much sense to me. And I wanted to share that with y'all because we're able to do that. We all know how to do that. If you grew up as a child in a Black family, at some point during a thunderstorm or a lightning storm, somebody told you to sit down someplace, sit down and be still. And at the time that actually sucked. And if you were like me, you had to turn the TV off. But I'm so glad that she helped me recall those memories because, yeah, we're able to handle this. We're the original storm riders. Who are we? We are Black women of the 92%. We call ourselves the 92% because that's the number. 92% of Black women voters who showed up despite the odds, despite the mess, despite the fatigue. And we didn't just vote our conscience. We voted our clarity. We voted our collective consciousness. I think I even have somewhere. Oh, here it is right here. The 92% is serious. Y'all know I took this voter data. this voter data with me when I was in Europe. And turns out I actually need it because y'all, Black women deserve some kind of protected status while we're traveling abroad in Europe, because a lot of people ask me a lot of questions about what the F is going on in our country. I even got a chance when I was talking to the mayor of Lisbon, I even got a chance to talk podcast. Great. I told him, I was like, listen, off top, it's radical. I have a lot of very interesting, strong, sometimes angry, forthright things to say about how Black women are reforging our political strategy here in this country. And basically the mayor was like, right on, I want to hear. But yeah, we really ought to have some kind of protected status, because there is no one, as this data proves, there is no one as a group that is less down with the bullshit that is taking place in this current regime, this current administration in our country, as Black women. But then here I go having to explain what the hell is wrong. Like, what is wrong with us? I don't mind doing it because I have a lot of opinions about what's going on in our country. But sometimes it seemed like it was so just depressing and a little bit overwhelming to be like, yeah, they crazy, they sick. We're not. Black women aren't. We're the ones that actually showed up. And that's what the 92% is. That's what it means. It's the A that we got when we showed up as a group, more than any other group in this country, to vote for democracy, to vote for progress, to vote for equity and equality for all, to vote for democracy. And then what did democracy do? As I say every week, democracy gave us the middle finger. That's all right. That's okay. And we're ready to ride out this storm. It got real personal while I was gone. When they start messing with the money, I get very, very, very angry and very annoyed. That's when I knew, oh Lord, this really is a storm. We really are going to have to ride this out. Good thing we've been practicing all that economic boycotting, because y'all, I don't know if you noticed, I don't know if y'all knew this, but this was in the news this week. The CEO of Target reached out to some Black leaders, one of whom was Al Sharpton, if you can believe that bullshit, reached out to Al Sharpton to see how can they make inroads to the Black community to get us to come back to their stores. That's how you know what we're doing is right. And that's one of the reasons that economic boycotts are one of the tools and one of the strategies we as Black women in the 92% are using to do our activism in a way that is safe for us and that is effective. They miss us in those stores. Now, I think it was ridiculous and crazy that they reached out to Al Sharpton and like another pastor someplace who is supporting the economic boycott of Target and other like big box stores. And, of course, obviously we appreciate the support, but again, the power behind this economic boycott, especially of Target, is Black women. I get so annoyed that like Black women start something and do something, and other people like the CEO of Target swoop in and think, we need to reach out to the Black community. How can we get them back into the stores? And they freaking reach out to men, like male pastors. Who's making the decisions whether or not to buy in stores like Target? Is it men or is it women? If you're a Black woman within the sound of my voice, or a woman within the sound of my voice, how often do y'all run into men that you know at Target? I never do. Oh my gosh. So again, this goes to who we are as Black women at the 92%. And let's be proud of it and let's own it. Seriously, until we get jackets or special badges that I may or may not create for us, let's just remember the data. This is who we are. We're the women that showed up post-election once again to steady a country that only remembers us when it's bleeding. We have been the firewall, the truth tellers. As always, Black women are America's early warning system. And, we don't get the glory of having one of our own elected, but we realize now that bitter loss has opened up a portal to our true freedom, and finally, at long last, the opportunity to see this moment to live in the full spectrum of our humanity. It's not trite, it's not simple, it's not superficial when I say no. We're taking time to experience joy, to create art, to reinvest in ourselves, to build ourselves back up again, because some of us are sick from being so sick and tired. We're physically weak, we're overweight, we're mentally overburdened. We've not been into our healing journey the way we're supposed to, but we are doing it now. Kamala's loss opened up this space and time that for Black women, it's going to be very important. We are finally putting ourselves first and prioritizing ourselves. And this podcast, my community over on Substack, y'all go on over and subscribe. Also subscribe on YouTube. And especially if you enjoy listening to my face, there's a special video version of the podcast over there. Get into it. Join our community. It's our place to raise our voices, to tell our stories, to reveal our truths, to own our own story and our own narrative as Black women, especially post that 2024 election. This is our place to laugh through the wreckage and strategize like true revolutionaries, not taking marching orders for people and a party that is out of touch and out of sync with where we are, that still feel like the other side is playing by some kind of rules and recognize decorum, that they're showing up as good faith actors. No, we strategize like real revolutionaries. Now, our revolutionary is quiet, but our joy is non-negotiable. And if you are new here, y'all, welcome. Subscribe right now. wherever you listen, because this space is for you. Even if you're not a Black woman of the 92%, if you're an accomplice, welcome. Become a paid subscriber, especially if you're one of those people that's not really what you consider like a leader or a thought leader. Yeah. If you want to be a part of our movement, support Black women of the 92% and become a paid subscriber. And listen, if you've been riding with me, share this episode with your sister circle, drop it in the group chat. We're going to talk a little bit about having our own like kind of storm center, check-in center chat a little bit later. But yeah, drop it into that group chat that always turns into a healing session after 9 p.m. This is the podcast for y'all. Because yes, the storm is absolutely coming. And while we may feel a little unsure at times, I certainly did while overseas. I got to tell you, I looked at our investments and our portfolio. Yeah, I felt a little slippy. But then I remember Black women never slip. We never fall. A lot of hoes give us their number, but we never call. Shout out to Ava and Abbott Elementary. Throw some D's on it. We're going to ride through this storm. We don't panic. We know this storm is coming. This is the very beginnings of it. We don't panic. We prepare. Now listen, I have been sitting with something, especially while I've been away. Y'all know travel. I have a Sagittarius moon. Travel is very, very, very deep for me. Always, it doesn't matter where I go, how great or good the trip is, what I bring back, what I see, whether I'm, kind of by myself or I'm traveling with my family. I always have some major intuitive hit, some major download. I literally gear up to travel spiritually the way a lot of people gear up, like buying a lot of new stuff. I do that too. But this last trip, things feel very personal. A lot of us are really feeling this for real now that the money's acting funny. I'm deconstructing from the church, but just to give y'all a little analogy, a little example, a church can be doing fine with a pastor that's been there forever. The church is well put together. It's a loving family. It's a church home and a center of the community for a lot of people. But sometimes the people get restless. They want some flashy new pastor that comes in, that's on the internet, on TikTok, that's got some memes and it's viral. Then they bring that new leadership in. And then all of a sudden the money's fucked up. Then all of a sudden, people putting ATMs out in the vestibule of the church, talking about lock the doors and whatnot. That's exactly where we are now. Y'all have brought new leadership in and they have now fucked up the church's money. Okay. The money's acting funny. The markets are convulsing and this administration seems committed to cruelty and acts of confusion more than any kind of clarity. That man says the tariffs across the board, 245%. If your ally status, F the rest of the world, then he takes it back for 90 days because he starts catching heat, right? This man is over here raging financial and spiritual warfare in a red tide. And, and he does what he always does when he's losing. Punish the Black people to reassure the white people. That's one thing he can always be counted on. That's why he's doing stuff like, we're going to cut funding to the Smithsonian's African American Museum. If you have not gone to see that museum, go see it right now. And the food that they serve at the museum is absolute bomb. I took my daughters 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even 7. It was a wonderful trip. It was so wonderful. But he does this each and every time when he knows he's effing up, when he knows he's getting attacked from all sides. Do something to show that we still got our boot on the neck of the Black people. And in this case, the brown people who actually have the nerve to be on Beyonce's internet, some of our Latino brethren and sisterin on there asking, where's the Latino representation in the movie centers? I have not seen Centers yet. I will have a lot to say on it the second I do. Hopefully I'm going to see it before the weekend. But yeah, that's what he does. So that's why all the uptick with the man that they sent out of here, the man that they sent out of here wrongfully and has him in El Salvador right now. Just continue to have your boot on the neck of the people. Lash out in a way that makes his racist, wildly undereducated base happy that he's sticking it to somebody. That's why that letter went out to Harvard, telling Harvard to bend the knee and kiss the ring, the boot. That's why that's happening. Hurt those elites that are letting, them Black and brown and Asian kids into their school. Seriously. And y'all don't believe this bullshit about you don't need a college education. I mean, I know I don't really need to say this. I'm talking to Black women of the 92%. We are one of the most well-educated demographics in this country. It's one of the only reasons we can be trusted to make good decisions, to make intelligent decisions. But and actually good on Harvard for putting their foot down. I have a lot of problems with Harvard. My husband went to Harvard Business School. We were married when he was there. He graduated in 2000. It was the most miserable 2 years of my life, probably 2 of the most stressful years of his life. And, he was in the business school. So it really was the epicenter of where they really teach and gas up this, their special few that they admit into their BA program. But it was all this like pumping up of you were the future leader, you were the future of corporate America. And it was just gross in a lot of ways. Ugh. But It also gave me some different and some interesting insights into Harvard because I worked for the Harvard Development Office and I worked in capital giving, which is gifts of $1 million or more. Lord, the money, the dossiers, the information. So yeah, while I have a lot of, problem with Harvard, I just don't like them in general. I went to Dartmouth. Subtle plug there, Dartmouth. But I also felt like, yeah, this is just a distraction. He does what he needs to do. He'll put his foot on the neck of, of course, this is one of the first signs of rising authoritarianism, anti-intellectualism, attacking academic institutions, and good on Harvard. I mean, what else are y'all doing with that $50 billion endowment? But I'm glad they're suing them and there's been some action, but I couldn't help but think, even though we do know this is one of the first steps of authoritarianism, I also feel that it was also a massive distraction. He knew he was messing up. And when you start messing with our money, that's when we realize it's real. We really are about to have like a bit of a market contraction, right? Because we're about to stop consuming, like black women especially. Yeah, we really do need to be being very choosy and very careful with our dollars. So if people are asking you, if they have the nerve, the audacity to ask, like, what are you doing in the face of all this? Yeah, we're boycotting economically. And yeah, it's about to get stormy. I'm taking it personal, but I'm also taking it as prophecy. Because in addition to being truth tellers, Black women, we are the original storm riders. And it's time to remember how to move when the wind shifts. It's time to remember how to be still when the thunder is rolling outside and when the lightning is striking, just like it was when we were kids in our, our parents' living room, our grandparents' living room in Mississippi, back during the 80s and 90s. The storm is here, but this is not our first rodeo. It's not our first recession. It's not our first market contraction. Market crashes, tariffs, a presidential candidate that openly tries to erase Black history again, while also trying to bankrupt the vibe of the entire country. And y'all, again, when the money gets funny, I'm a Taurus ascendant, and I take it personal, not because I expected miracles from this administration, but because I know how hard we as Black women work to dig ourselves out of post-pandemic mayhem, especially economic mayhem. A lot of Black women during that time, we went back to school. We got the promotion. We were able to start saving in our retirement accounts. And now, it's like they're coming not only for our rest, they're coming for like our receipts, our rituals, our rights, and our dollar and our paper once again. But let me tell you something that I have been reminded of. Worrying is like worshiping the problem. I heard that once and it literally shifted something in my body when I heard it. Worry and anxiety, it doesn't prepare you. It just pulls you further into the frequency of what you don't want to manifest. And some of us are so strong, so deeply spiritually powerful, y'all. We cannot be living in worry. We cannot be living in stress. We cannot be living in the air and the aura of chaos that he wants us to. That's what they want from us. They want us scared. They want us cowering. Worrying is like worshiping the problem. And listen, I don't have time to be manifesting struggle, because that's what happens when you set your mind on the chaos, when all you do is worry your gut into a fiddle string over what this fool is doing in the White House and how it's rippling down into not only our markets, but international markets. Remember that. Say it to yourself. Make it a mantra. I do not have time to manifest struggle that I did not RSVP for. And that's the way we should think about it. Instead of worrying, we're going to start future visioning. This constant fire hose of news is a distraction to keep us afraid, to keep us shrinking, to keep us worrying about what they're going to do. What might they do every day versus what we can do, what we can finally do. Now, the reason they even build institutions like Harvard is to keep us out, but now we know how to get in. Not only have we gotten in, we got the degrees, we have the credentials, and we're thriving, we're making the money. So today we're not worrying, we're preparing, and we're plotting. We're riding out this storm. And wherever you are, let's take this moment. I got us kind of amped up. It's not my job just to entertain and inspire and to educate us. It's my job to extend the hand of sisterhood, to make us always remember the collective consciousness and to keep us at a high octave rather than a low octave. So wherever you are, I want you to take a moment with me. Let's go ahead and feel our feet flat on the floor. We want our shoulders soft, relax our hands, let's unclench our jaw. Close your eyes if you need to, and let's release this tension from our bodies. Let's take the time to hold on to ourselves, literally hug yourself, hold yourself. This is what I do at the end of every dance class and every yoga class and every stretch class. I give myself a hug, little kiss on both sides. Hold on to yourself, release the muscle memory and the hold, those last remnants, those reminders of our times when our ancestors were enslaved. The last remnants of the agony of our ancestors has been passed down to us. As we inhale, let's remind ourselves that we are the eye of the storm. As we exhale, let's remember, say to yourself, I ride the chaos, I don't become it. Let's take time to tap our sternums gently. Do a few shoulder rolls back and forward, loosen your belly. Do you feel that? That is power returning to your body. You just prepped your nervous system for our quiet revolution. And y'all, there's been a weird energy in the discourse of late. Some folks are saying, okay, Black women, we get it. You're 92%. You did the most to save us in democracy. Can you let it go now? Let me be clear. I want to be rightly understood. I, Halicue Gambrell, Hannah, will never get over the fact that we made the bravest collective stand in modern American politics. And they barely gave us any credit, let alone any protection. And y'all, while I was overseas, I got mad. I am mad. I'm still a little mad. Anger is an actual emotion that we as Black women get to feel and channel in a productive way. Michelle Obama was just talking about this on her podcast with her brothers. It's another great podcast. Y'all should listen to it. I love our First Lady. She is talking, I think, to Taraji Henson and talking about how she was talking about how she told them to go F themselves for that inauguration. Like she had to trick herself into do it. And Taraji came in and she goes, yeah, we absorb these blows. Like Black women are, we're kind of shock absorbers. And I was kind of like, yeah, you're right, Taraji, but not anymore. We are walking away from that. But we do get to express some anger and emotion. We get to act on our own behalf for what is most beneficial for us, ourselves, our beautiful Black minds, our bodies, our spirits, right? And anger is a part of feeling and being able to express and actually work through this emotion that Black women, in a lot of ways, like we've been kept from doing. We've been taught not to be angry, not to act angry. You don't slam doors in this house. You don't talk back to me. When I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. Submit, Black women, submit. Submit at work, submit in our institutions of education, submit within our own marriages, submit within our own family units. A lot of us are taught to submit as children. No, we get to be angry. You remember like when you used to, if you walked around and huffed or puffed or slammed a door? My mom picked me up by the lapels and put me through a wall once because she thought that I said something that I didn't say, like something I didn't say. You weren't allowed to express any anger. And right now I'm mad. Again, it's an emotion that we get to feel, we get to channel in a productive or maybe sometimes even a destructive way. And everyone's just going to have to deal. They're going to have to catch these I told you so's. They're going to have to listen when we say we were right and you were wrong. And I'm going to be saying it a lot. I want to empower you to say it. Black women are smart. We're educated despite the constant obstacles that have been thrown in our path. I want us to remember that we're the 92%. We didn't just vote. We sacrificed and we organized and we warned everybody. I first heard about that early warning system. There's this comedy duo. They're called Frangela. I just love them. And they talk a lot about how Black women are America's early warning system. The sirens were blaring. They were still blaring. And now that the sky's actually getting dark again, some of these same people want to act brand new about us, want to know, well, what are you doing? Are you marching? Y'all know how I feel about these marches. We don't forget. We don't fold. And y'all, just seriously, as like a little afterthought, and I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. I want us to remember, what did being humble or self-deprecating ever get us? What did sitting on our anger ever get us except autoimmune disease? Because that's what happens to us, which we suffer disproportionately compared to other groups demographically. My gosh, really? What did being humble, self-deprecating ever give us? I used to feel, and this is just an example of this, and this goes back to something I said on the TikTok app this week. One of the reasons that I think Black women are coming across and feeling really at peace is because we accept how fucking stupid people are, how dumb a lot of y'all are. It's pretty sad, actually. And for me, it's kind of scary because like I said in the video, people's ignorance frightens me. It really did. And I'm so proud of myself for being angry enough to say this. Yeah, a lot of us are smarter than a lot of them that voted for this mess. What does it have to do with being self-deprecating and being humble? Here's what personally is what it means for me. I used to feel so sorry for people that were dumb and that were uneducated, that were so willfully incurious. I used to really, really, really feel sorry for them. People who, for whatever reason, weren't as smart as me or didn't have the same level of education. I was definitely taught by my mom. There's some things we just don't throw in people's faces. It's rude, it's wrong. And until all of us rise, you don't ever make people feel bad about how limited they are intellectually. Because it's not like, in a lot of ways, it's not like our schools or the school system was ever built or created or work in a way that was supposed to lift up and empower Black children. So I get that. But I did. I used to feel very sorry for people that didn't have my level of education or access to the things that, I had. Parents that actually made a big deal about how smart I was. When I was a girl, honestly, it was sometimes some of the only positive interaction or validation you ever got from grownups. But I used to feel sorry for people, maybe say in my home state, especially after I was old enough to leave Mississippi and found out that people thought that we were ignorant and backward. Y'all remember y'all's president said, I love the undereducated. Yeah, them. I used to actually still feel bad for them. I am now to the point where I'm going to let you know that I decline to argue or have an exchange of ideas unless you make it loud and clear what side you're on. Sorry, not sorry. I've had a very thorough an elite education. And I used to believe that crap, that I was no better than anyone else. Well, it turns out, and as Black women, we all are, right? We're the most educated demographic. And I really used to believe that. I'm no better than anyone else, especially, about how smart I am. Turns out that's exactly wrong. Because if you voted for that man, you were either a racist, too dumb to discern fact from fiction, or just driven by straight greed and being avaricious. And that's how I feel about that. Like, where did getting humble ever get us? Called him a basket of deplorables. Turns out that's absolutely correct. And she was pilloried for that, made to feel bad. F that from now on. Seriously. But now let's talk strategy. How do we take all of this? How can we take all this energy, some of our anger? How do we work through it? How do we use all these feelings, the stress, the anxiety, right? Because we're not worshiping the problem like we talked about earlier. We're not doing that anymore. What do we do? How do we take all of this and how do we use it to prepare for this storm? How do we ride it out? And y'all know I love talking about, like, every single episode, we're going to talk about that. We take everything that we talk about and we kiki and we laugh about it. Oh my God, y'all, speaking of kiki, what is going on with Kanye? More stuff comes out, the more I think, oh my God, Black women, we really are on our own with this when it comes to our own self-care. Let's not be looking to anybody. Sometimes we can't even look to our own people, our own men for stability and sanity. Oh my gosh, my sister and I will be talking about it later on YouTube and probably over on TikTok. Lord have mercy. Sometimes I swear to God, I think we're the only people capable of making good decisions. So again, we're focusing on what are some practical things we can do to prepare for the storm and to ride it out. First, we're going to create our storm circle. We're going to start a private group chat with our girls, with our friends, people that can be trusted. I want us to think about it as a digital huddle, a sisterhood safety net. This is where we're going to share memes. We're going to share resources, escape plans, ideas, rest rituals, because isolation is a tool of oppression. Don't let them use it on us. Don't let them use it on you. Black women are still working for liberation. We're just starting with ourselves first. And we're going to get started well-rested, clear-headed, and having the best of our nurturing and our caring go towards our own loved ones, our own communities. That's why we do all the talk about resting. We need to be rested up for what we're about to go through. So number one, go ahead and start getting that together. And it might be a little different than your sister circle. Like, I have a sister circle. My mom has like a group of like 15, 20 people that, I'm on a group with. She sends her little daily devotional out. But this is a private group. It's for the people that give us comfort, that see the same way we see all this. Get as many members of the 92% in your circle as possible. And second, we're going to resource like revolutionaries. Start thinking about our economic sovereignty. And I know we're taking a real break, a long break. Like, truly, the astrologers say that's what the whole Pluto moving from Capricorn into the age of Aquarius is about. Like, this is not this grind hustle culture. We don't do that shit no more, right? But it's okay for us to think a little bit of passive income, bartering. Are we going to be gardening? We're going to be trying to grow some of our own food. Are we going to be building our own little, what are they called out in the country? Compounds. People are thinking about or buying tiny homes. They're having family compounds. We're going to be bartering. We're going to be doing creative initiatives. We're going to be building our storm fund. Maybe we're diversifying our skills. They're trying some new bullshit with telling people you no longer get to push off your student loans. Again, trying to like stress us out. So maybe this is another great time for us to go back to school, defer again, get another degree. Don't just prepare to survive. We're going to prepare to thrive. This may be one of the only good things that comes out of all of this craziness. So we're resourcing like revolutionaries. We're really thinking about this. And y'all, finally, we're going to, number 3, we're going to archive and we're going to reclaim. They're trying to erase us, taking the story of Jackie Robinson down from government websites. Can you believe that? Trying to defund the African American History Museum, erasing the stories of our heroes, our warriors. And since they're trying to erase us, we are going to document everything. That's why I want y'all on the internet. That's why I want the voices of Black women on Beyonce's internet. We've got to drown out these other voices. We have to keep telling our stories. We have to be our own digital griots. We're going to talk to our elders, record stories, make videos, make podcasts, post receipts. You do not need a blue check to be the griot of your generation, or of your family, or of your online following. This podcast, I miss when I'm away and I'm not able to record. I tried to record in London. It just didn't work. It turns out to be a creator and a creative, you really need a lot of privacy. And it's just hard when I'm traveling with my family to have any kind of consistent privacy. And I missed y'all. And that's when I realized that, oh my God, right? Like, when I don't do this podcast, I don't get to write my love letter to Black women every week. almost all, y'all have turned me into a thought leader and a content creator. And almost all of the people that follow me are Black women. You all have no idea how blessed I feel for that to be the case. It's awesome if other people rock with me. And if you're here, welcome. We don't need allies. We need accomplices. We need you to be paid subscribers. Start there. But I'm so esteemed and I'm so honored to be in this collective consciousness and community with Black women. And so again, that's what the podcast is for me. It is my love letter to Black women and to every Black woman listening, whether you're resting, rebuilding, or even like I was doing for a few weeks, traveling, raging. Even if you're raging today, I want you to remember that you are not overreacting. Girl, you actually overqualified. You are not hopeless. You are holy. We were never meant to carry it all. But the more we rest, the more we reinvest in ourselves, the more we reciprocate with each other. Shout out to my friend Q. The more we reciprocate, the more we uphold each other, uplift each other, share resources with each other, the more we collaborate instead of competing with each other. As long as we do that, the storm may come, but we're gonna ride it out, and we're gonna look damn good doing it. We're gonna rise. We're gonna ride it. We're going to rebuild. It doesn't matter how bad the storm is. We will always rise from the debris and from the destruction. And as always, we're going to rebuild better, stronger. All right, y'all. If this episode moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with your storm circle. And by the way, come on over to Substack when you're done enjoying this podcast and letting me marinate in your beautiful ears. Come on over there. And I want you to tell me who's in your storm circle. Come on over to Substack and ask. I'm going to do a thread on it. Tell us who's in your storm circle. I'll tell you who's in mine. I want you to subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen. It's not just a podcast, it is a community. Especially if you're ready to become a supporter and a paid subscriber. And I want you to come on over there and support this soft, sacred rebellion, especially if y'all have white girlfriends that don't know what to do. Because some of them, some of our girlfriends are actually writers. They're actually good people. We put them to the test. But some of them don't know what to do. We're not going to do the labor for them. Tell them if they don't know what to do, get on over to Substack and support some Black women. And y'all come on over and follow me on TikTok. Follow me over on YouTube. I'm enjoying making the YouTube channel for us. So we have a lot of fun. I do a lot of lives. I'll be doing lives there on YouTube and on Substack. And definitely, and again, I know I keep talking about YouTube, but come on over there because that's where I drop the full visual version of this episode. And hey, y'all keep messing with me. Y'all know I like rituals and I like mindfulness. We're going to be burning candles. We're going to be doing little self-care prep kits. Come on over because y'all, winter may be coming, but so are we. We are coming into our full fruition, our full powers. We're taking this time, these 4 years, and every bit of work that we do, every time we prioritize ourselves, every time we tap into our collective consciousness, Black women in the 92%, we are further feeling and experiencing and sitting in the full spectrum of the human experience. Because we've been denied a lot of that, even in just me talking a little bit earlier about anger. Yeah, that's why they constantly accuse us of being angry, because they're terrified of what happened if we actually sit in our righteous anger. And like a beautiful Black woman activist said, they better be glad that all we want is equality and not revenge. So I'm Halicue, and you just rode the storm with me to the beautiful, the bold, the brilliant Black women in the 92%. All the love in my heart. I'm going to see you next week. And to everyone else, have the day that you voted for.